Watch the ride.
Hey everybody, hope you're all doing alright out there. So I've made a few videos in the past talking about my helmet setups and what I use for motovlogging, but I haven't got like a really short, concise one that literally shows you what I'm using right now, because I keep getting asked questions like, how do you record your audio, what camera you're using, what mount are you using, all sorts of stuff like this, and I have to say I'm quite glad to see that, because it means maybe some more people are getting back into motovlogging. So let's start at the beginning, the camera. What camera do I use? I use a GoPro Hero 9, which has a smashed rear screen, which has been repaired by putting a screen protector over the top of the broken glass and then screwing a bead around the outside of it, which waterproofed it. And I've been using it like this for years, in pouring rain and all sorts, and I've never had a problem. The mount on the bottom of the camera is the GoPro ball mount, which allows you to basically pivot this part to this part in many ways that you want. See, it goes like this and this. It's very stiff and it does stay where you want it. And obviously that gives you rotation as well. If you want to hang it upside down for some reason, it is a great bit of kit. The lens I have on this camera is the Max lens. I recently made videos doing comparisons between this compared to a normal lens and also compared to using a polarizing filter, and also changing the different stability, like horizon lock you've got with this. I run it with stability on but with horizon lock off, because people didn't like the horizon lock, but they do like a bit of stability. Now, when I was saying about polarizing lenses, it's a cool idea. I 3D printed one of these pots that's scalable, and in here is, if I go riding and take my kit with me, I've got this with me. This has got that's the standard lens front for the GoPro, and then this is a holder for a filter which goes on the outside. I have a video, I think, on fitting this. Did I do that, or did I just do it and not make a video? I can't remember. Any related links will be down in the description. But anyway, this basically allows you to use 52mm filters on your GoPro, and that sits on there obviously. It is quite big looking, but it allows you to use like polarizing filters, which I think look absolutely great. But the Max just edges it out, because it improves the sort of the width, and it improves a lot of things about the look of the video. But if I want to use this polarizing filter for some reason, then I can, because I've got it with me. As I say, I made this pot for the right size, so it just perfectly fits in there. I cut down an Allen key so it fits down next to it, and then when you screw the top on, it's very well held in there. So, GoPro Hero 9, GoPro ball mount, Max lens, or the standard lens with a polarizer on it. Then, how do I attach it to my helmet? Well, helmet first, I'm sure you know this. This is my Icon variant bug chucker, which Icon sent me. And the way I've got the mount on here is this is a standard GoPro mount, which is stuck using the normal adhesive pad onto a flat section which exists on this helmet. And then it's been filled in with Sugru, which is a soft putty polymer stuff that you mix like a putty, and then you rub it in to where you want it, smooth it down, and it sets like a hard rubber, and it sticks to basically any surface. However, with enough effort, you should be able to get this off without causing any damage to the helmet. But I don't need to, so this is a permanent fix. You can see it's Sugrued on all the way around. And that's been there for years, and it's solid as hell. So then we put the GoPro on. The ball mount has this rubber piece here, which fits in between the tongs of the clip, and it means that they can't come undone, so it means it can't fall out. And that's basically how that's attached to the helmet. And as you see, that's not straight now, so it needs to be more like something like that. So it does stick out a fair way, but I don't feel the weight of it. There are chin mounts available nowadays that you can buy and stick on helmets, but on this, that would block some of the vents, so I wouldn't want to do it that way. This was the best way to do it for this helmet. So now I need to talk about audio. This is a Sena boom mic. See here? That mic there is a boom mic. It just goes to a little square at the end, and then I have a 3.5mm jack soldered onto it. This, as I say, is a Sena Boom mic, which I've custom fit to have this plug on it, so I can use it for the way that I want it. You can't buy that off the shelf, unfortunately, and even getting these microphones with the right impedance, because they changed it at some point, is a bit tricky, but I'm doing okay. I've got a couple of extras. And yeah, as I say, they have to be custom made, and it's micro soldering, and it's not simple. So it's not something I can just tell you, you know, how to do. If you can do it, you know how. It's, you got to work out the right polarities and stuff to make sure. Actually, I do have a video doing that, so you can see a video on that. Then, from there, I have this extension, which goes onto here, and then that normally lives tucked up. It's just been pulled out. Right, that normally lives tucked in just inside here. So what comes out the side is this cable, which runs down to my recorder. This is a Zoom F2 BT, so this is the Bluetooth version. This is a 32-bit float recorder. What that means is it never peaks, basically. So it will adjust the levels to make sure it gets you really good audio without clipping and peaking and stuff like that. These are not cheap at all for what they are. They're very, very small. But yeah, that is how I record my audio. So the audio entirely is from the microphone in my helmet to this. Now this recently came up in a comment because someone said, why, because I keep getting smacked in the face by bugs, why do you ride around so much with your visor open? It wouldn't happen if you have your visor closed. A couple of things to say to that. One, it's basically, as I explained to him, it's for you guys. I get the best audio with that open because you get to hear the bike properly, you get to hear me properly. It is far better than when that's down because it turns into a much more sort of sound. The reason I've used the Icon variant helmet for 13 years, the original style and this one, I've had like 5 of them. I recently did a video on that too, about my history with this helmet, because it seems to have ended, they're not making a variant anymore, is this giant area in front of your face is really good for allowing some movement of the sound. Because if you have a helmet right against your face, as you can imagine, it ends up sounding like this. It's a little bit sort of crappy. So by having a helmet which is more open in the front and having the visor up means you get the best audio, but I get bugs in the face. But when I close my visor, no bug hits me in the face, ever. I'll hit in the face by a bug, and I will put it down, and I will not hear a single or see a single bug hit this visor for 10 minutes, and I'm like, it's getting a bit warm, audio would be better if I open it. Pop it open, 3 seconds later, in the face. It's just sod's law. So, for the audio, Zoom F2 BT onto an extension lead to a custom-made Sena Boom mic, custom modified, is how I get my audio and the video. It's a Hero 9 on a GoPro ball mount with a screw-grooved GoPro mount onto the front of the helmet using a max lens. I use Enduro batteries for it, and I need to replace them because they're getting old. Support my channel through Patreon and YouTube members, and maybe I can do that at some point. I'm sticking this in because I realise it's a very important point I didn't mention. Why do I use a separate audio recorder? Basically, with the GoPros, like the 9, you need the media mod, and getting in-camera audio is a bit annoying. It also means the camera isn't properly waterproof. So by having separate audio, it solves that issue. It also means that when I'm using 2 cameras when I do like a review, if one of them dies for some reason, I can switch to the other one to cover that time while I either wait for that camera to restart, because you can get bits missing when slides change. It's when it records a long time and it has to split to a separate file. You can sometimes lose a little bit there, but also if one camera just turns off, I can switch to the other one and I don't lose anything. It does mean I have to sync my audio when I edit it. It is a big extra step, it does take time, but if you do it the right way when you're filming, if you help yourself, it's not that bad. And you can actually do it visually rather than with listening. I should point out quickly, if you're wondering, well okay, if you've taken the max lens off your camera and put the other one on, where do you put the max lens to protect it? You don't need to. The lens cover and the back lens cover make a little box that it lives in. And then you can just put that in your little gadget bag that you take with you with your other equipment. Backup batteries, SD cards and stuff like that. I suppose that's something I should mention. When I go out to do a recording of like a review of a bike, I will have this with at least 2 batteries and a couple of memory cards. I also have extra batteries for the voice recorder. I don't need an extra SD for that thing, because you can get hours and hours and hours on an SD, and I've never had a corruption issue with it, I don't think. No. So I'm kind of risking it, but, you know, it seems like the trustworthy thing, unlike something else I'll get to in a second. Then for a secondary angle, I use a Insta360 1X2. This was sent to me by Insta360. I haven't got any of the newer cameras because they don't seem to talk to me anymore because I said something honest about one of their cameras before now. So Insta360 1X2 on the Insta360 clamp mount. These are absolutely great for this because they do help remove some of the vibrations. It's not designed to do that, but just, it's not sloppy, but it's got enough play in it that high vibrations don't go through to the camera too much. If it's on my DR, I have a problem with this camera, which it will turn itself off because it just vibrates the hell out of it. But as it turns out, that bike is extreme. Well, I know it's very vibey, but it's so vibey on each end, it has caused problems. Like, as I say, Insta360 won't run great all the time on that bike compared to my XJ6, where it's not got a problem with that. But on the rear of my DRZ, it destroys indicators at about 5-1 to the front ones because they get vibrated to death. So it's not entirely Insta360's issue with that. But yeah, this camera can be very unreliable at times. But that is what I use. I use this. It does produce good enough video. I do think it's lagging a little bit nowadays in looks. Like, I think the 360 element really made up for some graininess and maybe not quite as crisp as it could be footage. The newer cameras, I think, probably have improved that, but as I say, I'm not getting one from them most likely, so I won't be able to tell you. And with this, I carry an extra battery, or two really, for the Insta360, and then in here, as you can see, there's a little slot for another SD card, and I keep a spare in there, because normally one in here and one in the GoPro is enough for the review for that day. But if I need an extra one, it's going to be in this camera rather than the GoPro, because obviously two cameras, twice as much information, and that's why I carry a spare. The only other thing I take with me most of the time is my digital SLR, which I can't show you because I'm filming with it, but it's a Canon EOS 90D that I use for taking thumbnail images. You know, when I'm out with the bike, I'll stop at the side of the road somewhere, find a nice place, take some pictures that's good for the thumbnail. It also means that if I wanted to do a piece to camera without using the GoPro, I can put this, using this mount onto like a fence or something, screw this into the bottom of the digital SLR. I have a Rode Wireless Go 2 system that I use, that I'm recording this with, and I can just put that on my jacket, and then I can talk to the camera and talk about the bike, and it's a very small little package that fits into half a rucksack. Most of it's on you anyway, it's just the extra bits that you carry with you, and it just means that you've got everything you need with you, and you can film so much stuff. There's so many options when you can clamp a camera anywhere. Of course, you could do things like clamping that onto a tree with your SLR and do some ride-by shots. I've really wanted to do that quite a lot in reviews for a long time. I just don't trust that I'll come back to my camera by the time I've gone down the road and come back up. And the reason I say that is because when I did try it in the past, I literally went up the road, came back down, and found someone already looking at my camcorder, like, oh, can I pick that up? So there you go, that is all the equipment I use to record my videos. I edit them with Sony Movie Maker 16, which is very old. Shout out to Charlie for actually still using Sony, because it's the OG. As in Moist Critical, Penguin-Z, he still uses it, and I love that fact. But it's great, it does everything I need it to do. I've also don't want to help Adobe any more than I already do, because I have a license for using their photographic studio stuff, but I would not do that for their video stuff. They can in the butt. Evil, evil company. But I love Lightroom and Photoshop, so what are you going to do? Yes, I know there's some cheap alternatives, or free alternatives, but computer-wise, you're going to need something with a decent graphics card to be able to edit video in any meaningful time, and CPU as well. It's kind of a thing you need, CPU and GPU, and RAM. So you need a decent computer to do this. I have a video on my desk setup, actually, that you can see that PC and everything that I use to edit, and what screens I have, and that sort of stuff. And it also shows you the amount of storage I have. I have something like 22 terabytes of hard drives, and I don't even keep all my stuff. I delete the raw video files about 2 or 3 years after they're filmed, or or as things fill up, but I also, over time, will delete out the Insta360 RAW files and just keep the edited ones, because that's a huge amount to save, and it's easy because you just go into the hard drive and go, Insta360 file type, delete, just delete them, and then keep the as I say, the edited out versions that the video is made from. I think that's everything, top to bottom, that I could tell you about my setup and how I make the videos that I make. I hope you find it useful, and I hope it inspires someone to maybe consider doing this, because there's very few people left, and YouTube is now full of more and more massive conglomerate channels with 20 employees, and it's really killed the feel of old school YouTube, where it's one dude with a camera just giving his point of view or showing you something, which is what I've tried to do for the past 15 years, and nearly 2,500 videos. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you're new here and you like motorcycle stuff and tech stuff and all sorts of stuff. If there's anything you'd like to see me cover that I haven't mentioned before, please ask below. I've probably got a video on it I can link you to, but if not, I can do that. Huge thanks to my Patreon supporters. Without you, this channel will not continue, and the same can be said for my YouTube members and for the people who make direct donations through PayPal, just to chuck me a couple of quid to be like, thanks for that video, it was helpful. In fact, I had one a little while ago that was someone that watched a suspension video and said, you've just saved me a couple of £100 at least, and bunged me like a pint, you know. Very nice of him to do that, thank you. Till the next one, bye-bye.